everyone, Steel Horse here. Welcome along. We're joining Kevin and Jocelyn here in Griffin, Indiana. And we, as you can see, are just rowing up the hay that we cut. So we need to get a little bit of hay now that we've increased the volume of cattle that we've got spread across pastures. They're getting through a little more hay, which is the main feed that we're providing. So it's pretty important to get this hay collected up and distributed. I can't remember which pasture is missing. It looks like, oh, that's the little bit we missed because the border's outside the field, but shouldn't take us too long to get it rowed up. Given that we're coming towards the end of November, we're sort of getting into the period where some of our produce is getting ready for sale. So we'll have or getting near its best price for sale. So we'll have a bit of a look at that. The cows that we put in last time are doing quite well in the Twilight 2 and Twilight 3 pastures over beside the Twilight field. So that's all good. The trees he's kind of cut a little bit up, but they'll sit there for a little while, given we don't need to get them off the Twilight field until we're ready to plant it next year. But really it's he's been thinking more about the sheds that he wants to put over at the main yard. However, that might have to wait. So turns out that a few of the farmers in the district have been having trouble getting their crop in, and while Kevin wasn't necessarily planning on doing any more harvesting, the last time he checked in there were still 4 soybean contracts going, and he's had a couple of calls from his neighbours. They're just close by, and to just sort of see that the word's got around that he's got this Swish new harvester, and with the end of the harvest window closing at the end of the month, there's a couple of locals that are pretty keen he help them out and do the contracts. Now, I have a question of, not a position Kevin's been in before as a bit of a newcomer. On the one hand, he's kind of keen to help out. On the other, there's a few things he was trying to get done on his own plot. So while he thought it through, he thought, well, the most important job we've got is we've got to get some feed into the cows. So collecting that grass up is pretty key. So that, or the hay up rather, so that we can feed the cows. And then beyond that, if we've got time left and they still haven't got anyone helping them, maybe we can do something to help them along. So that's pretty much how the plan will unfold for the day. The only other contracts that are available in the district are baling contracts, and he doesn't sort of see those as a priority versus his own work on the farm here. So our canola doesn't need any work, so that's all good. So we're getting this pretty well rowed up. Should only be another 4 or 5 lengths of the field with any luck. So maybe by 9 AM we'll be on top of it, and we can have a look. If we just pause for a minute, we can have a look at the price of goods, and we can see the barley's coming up, but it's still got a little ways to go to get to best price. It's the main thing we're looking to sell. The small amount of wheat we've got we'll hang on to make any seed we need, and oat still got another $100 to go there. Not worth making the trip for the canola or the corn. Soybeans won't be until July in all likelihood. And then coming down, you can see straws at 85. So he did load a trailer of straw up ready to go. So potentially if we get a moment, we'll take that down. And we do have some silage there, which is at best price as well. So that's kind of what he meant. There's plenty of work to go on with on our own property, but being a good neighbour, and there's good money in it too. You can't doubt that. Might need to trump. Maybe we can't do all 4 of the contracts that were available. Maybe they'll get others involved in helping, but perhaps you can knock a couple of them off. Just sort of take them one at a time and see how they go. They do involve loading the train, which is just a little bit more fiddly than if it was taking the product to the mill or some other place locally. So we'll just have to wait and see. We might check back in with him when he gets to the end of this field, which should only be in a few minutes. So that took a little bit longer than Kevin was anticipating. But the other thing that's distracting him, of course, he checked in the second-hand sales, and the local dealership's offering an 8RX, John Deere 8RX, for about 140,000 in terms of the configuration it's in. Probably be up closer to 200 by the time Kevin changed it to what he'd really want, and of course at half its regular price. That's a bit of a steal. Now it's all a bit moot because he can't put his hands on that sort of money quickly, and he'd already decided there are other priorities. It's just simply not a proposition to go back to the bank. So really it's not much point thinking about it, but that doesn't stop him daydreaming and getting distracted on what might have been. It's one of those things, it's a pretty shiny machine sitting there just out of reach at the moment. That's of course assuming that it's still in the store. Let's have a look. Yeah, so there it is. Oh, it's actually 200,000, but it's almost half price. So that's not really any use to us. And in fact, we don't need any of the things that are in the store. at present. So only not of use to us. It's ideal for what he'd like to pick up. Just simply can't afford it. But that's the field road up. So let's grab tractor and a forage wagon and at least get a load collected and distributed to the cows. And while we're back in the yard, we can have a look at the contracts that are on offer and just see if there's anything that we want to contemplate. Now we'll put this over out of the way because we are still intending to do some reconfiguration at some point, if not today, certainly before we use this item again. Now we'll need class to pull the forage wagon. Let's go and get that sorted out. Managed to get the road just a little bit better under control across here. Still got a few lumps and bumps in it, but not too bad. If we just have a look at those contracts. Just do a little bit of a ring around and see what's happening. Yep, so 12 sunflowers, that's no good to us. We can't help with that. We haven't got a header. But 15, 18, 21 and 25. Probably the ones we'd look at first up might be 21 and 25 because 21's right here beside us and 25's just the other side of the engineering works. Similarly, 18's over here and 15's down in the corner. So they're all sort of on our side of town, but 21's probably the one. He's an immediate neighbour that we should deal with first. So why don't we agree? Let's agree to do that one. And meanwhile, we'll run out. We can get our equipment organised down there on field 21, but let's collect up some hay and distribute that amongst our animals so that at least we know they're in good shape. The milk cows are fine. They've got plenty of TMR. It's just the Angus that he's concerned about, and particularly as a few of them are breeding over the next month or so. He wants to make sure that if there's some sales to be had, he's got stock that are in tip-top shape. This shouldn't take too long. We've got a full tank of the forage additives, so we're maximising the amount we're collecting. This shouldn't take too long to get a full trailer. I don't think we'll have any trouble getting the contract on field 21 done. It's just a question of whether there'll be enough time in the day by the time we move the equipment and do the delivery to realistically take on another one. Kevin being Kevin, at least he's ticked his box. He's helping out. And whilst he probably won't admit it to anyone other than Jocelyn, he is quite chuffed that they came to him for some help, so... Kevin, it's all about how he looks. A bit unfortunate, but it's kind of just the way he's wired up. He means well, and he's not doing a bad job. He's got the farm cooking along reasonably well. You know, he's made a few mistakes along the way, but now got what is it, 5 pastures of beef cattle and a shed which is more than half full of milk cows, so he's got a pretty reasonable operation starting to take shape. They're taking him a lot more seriously these days down at Larson's than they were at the beginning. At least the sniggering conversations in the corner have kind of stopped when he walks in. There's 80%. Just run back the other end and then check which, certainly the 2 new pastures are well down. He just only had time to put a single bale in each of those before it really got dark the other night, but that was enough for the new calves to munch on. I'll run up here. I think it's this one was also getting pretty low. We'll fill that one up. Let's have a look. So Twilight 3, yeah, just they've only eaten a few hundred litres of the full bale. Twilight 2 will be the same. The main Twilight pasture is about half full. The home pasture is less than half full, so it needs a heap. And where we are now is now full. And of course, Woody End is about half full. So we'll go on. Fill this guy back up again. We should still have some left over after we've filled all the pastures, but for now we'll top them off, and then we can be absolutely certain that there's enough feed to get us into the new year and into the spring. We don't even need to pick all of the hay up today. We can collect it next month if we get caught up sorting out these contracts. Just keep the windrow in that target zone over the nose there, and we'll be full in no time. 95% it's saying. Of course, I mentioned the forage additive before. That was a bit of a boo-boo. It has absolutely no effect at all on hay collection. So whether or not we had a full tank of forage additive was completely irrelevant. But for next time when we're doing the grass, which we dump in our silage fermenting silo, of course it's particularly useful. Just tootle across here. We'll go and do Twilight 2 and 3, the two new pastures first. Rather than run across the middle of our field, we'll make use of the roads we're putting in. This track needs a little bit more work and sorting out. There's still a bit of brush and bushes. You can might be able to see out the side there. He's just started to trim down some of those logs and trees, but there's still plenty of work to do. So we got this one here on the left hand side, just swinging along there. Fill you up. Cows very much enjoying the fresh feed. By the looks of it, filling it up's going to take the rest of the trailer, I reckon. Let's see. Fill this one. Yep, that's going to empty us out completely. So we're going to need to go and to get another full trailer load to do the other two big pens. So let's go and do that. Funny how sometimes jobs you think you'd know really well, you're going to whip right through, and we are whipping through, but they still take time. We're going to be lucky to get on that harvest contract before lunch, because it's just going to take a little more to fill these cow pens than he anticipated. Never mind. Wouldn't have been so bad if you had the whole crew that he was using in the middle of the harvest season, but he's only got a couple of contractors left that he's prepared to call on, so he's going to have to do a bit of this himself, which is not a problem. It just limits the amount he can get done and the ability to keep all the equipment working given the time of the year. Particularly with his kids off at college, they, you know, some of the folks in the local area have got pretty big families that they can work together when they need to. Mind you, they have some right ding-dong blues between them as well from time to time. So that's going to be an interesting little statistic. When we sort of look at how we're getting the hay in here, pretty much a full field of hay is going to be required to fill all of these pastures by his updated calculation. Now the good news is we've got a full field of hay, but it does mean as we increase the stocking levels, we might want to think about adding some more grassland, because it means, you know, out of this cut, for instance, we're not getting any silage, which it's gotten quite used to that extra income. And it'll be interesting to see how fast they down the supplies that we've given them. They're certainly not going to have much left to put in the store in the silo, I don't think. Tip it in and top them up. That didn't quite take it all, so we'll have enough here to do the last two pastures at least. And already this access track that he's cut in is proving really useful, so that's a good addition. When we get round the area, we might just got to get the angle right to get over the fence. This one's a bit awkward. Much easier with the higher trailer than the smaller one we had originally. So we'll just run down and do Woody End, and then that job is largely done. We can tidy up what's left on the field a bit later on. At least with the crop off, it's a little bit easier to get around that telegraph pole. There we go. We'll let him run back to the yard and we'll catch up with him when he's got the harvester and header down at field 21. Manoeuvring this Honeybee head around these narrow farm roads is a serious handful, but thankfully the gate out of our farm's just big enough to swing it out. Now there's the field that we cultivated last time, so what we'll be able to do hopefully is duck round the shed and the house and come back up the other way. Keep off the crop, and that should work out pretty well for us. Line him up there on that right hand wheel, pretty much like so, and then pull you out of there. Drop you off because we're going to need you. Don't need you dragging the dolly all over town. And fold the harvester. Hook on. Now we found from before Telegraph pole's just in the wrong spot for us. So we drive forward. Drop that little dolly off. And then with any luck, we can get the rest of the head around without taking out that pole. Unfold the header, put it down, and off we toddle. A little bit bumpy, but it shouldn't take us too long. It'll be interesting to see how much crop we get off a headland and what sort of volume we end up with. About half the headland is 30% of our tank and about 10% of the contract, or 12% if you sort of work out that 80% of the contract is all the crop off, so it's about an eighth, 12.5%. So we're going to get 8 of those, which suggests we'll end up with about 2.5 tanks on the harvester. So the good news about that is that shouldn't take us too long to harvest. We'll certainly get that done. Whether it's looking pretty unlikely we'll be able to help anyone else out with their harvest today, though. At least the weather is kind. What we can potentially do is just get one of our contractors to run backwards and forwards across this long edge now that we've done the headland, and then we can do a couple of loads to the train silo and calculate how much crop we're going to need to complete the contract. Because with any luck, by the time he gets back across, we'll be ready to unload him. Maybe not quite full, but close enough. So we'll just complete our headland and then come back and run him across the end. Hopefully the single headland with this wide header will be enough room for him to turn around without running into these posts. I feel safer with him running east-west rather than north-south. I don't want him ending up in that little creek washout ditch. We'll go and grab the truck. Just have a look at the contract itself. We're doing field 21. Let's have a look at the details. So we need to deliver just under about 2 1/3 truckloads. So certainly 2 full truckloads. We'll see how we go. We'll get up there just as he turns around with any luck. And then take the empty. Certainly helps that there's no posts on that side of the field, so he should finish properly. And as you can see, he can just about turn around in the width, so hopefully he won't get too stuck at the other end, but we'll be there to help if need be. Bouncy field, a few undulations in it. We've got harvester empty now. We're just taking crop as it comes off the field. As long as we take more than... There it is there. We'll let him turn. So 17,000. As long as we take more than 16,000, it'll be less than 3 truckloads to the train silo. So we'll take this one over. And there we go. Nice quick unload. We'll certainly be back before he fills up. There goes the train. We'll need that later on. So the end of this row should be about half the crop off, but he won't be quite full, so we might have to let him do another up and down before we go to the silo for the second trip. The good news is though that single headland so far seems to be working quite well. We're getting all the crop and he's managing to turn around at least the first couple of times without getting into trouble as it is now, so there's always a chance we've spoken too soon. So that was 9,000 litres. We probably need him to do another 4. We might check back in shortly. So with any luck, we should be able to get another 10,000 now. Let's see how we go. We fill the truck before the end of the road? Probably not quite. We'll get pretty close. 2600 I think is full. There's 19,890. So call it 20. And with the 17 that we put in, that's 37 and a whisker more. So we need another 10 in the silo. So hopefully while we're dropping this, the harvester will pull 10 off the remainder and we'll be good to go. We'll run over and call a train while we're here. And there we go. We still haven't been down to pick up our fancy new auger either. We must get down and do that. Sitting out there in the yard. Oh, we didn't call the train. Let's hang on. We get through up here by the... How often do you do that? You get halfway back. You suddenly realise that you forgot an important part of the job. We'll just zip across here. These grid laid out towns make fixing your mistake pretty straightforward. Pull the train from just over the weighbridge here. Rightio, we'll just take care of that. 2 kilometres away, it says. Beautiful. Just a few ever reducing rows by the looks. Given the rest of the field should fit in the harvester, what we might do is jump in the harvester and finish it off. Might be a bit quicker than having him reverse up. Yep, 9,000. So we're going to have small surplus, which is always a good feeling to get to that point when you know you got enough. As long as we put between 47 and 48 on the train, we should be fine. Just about finished here. Sweep around a little bit there, that little bit there, and that's turned out to be fairly efficient. About 3 hours to get that off there. Drop that in the truck. That'll just take a second. What he's thinking is, because 18 is just a little field, maybe he should just run the harvest, because it'll be only a couple of trips up and down with this header. If you can sneak down the road without having to put it on the trailer, maybe it's worth ducking down there. But we'll go deal with delivery of this contract first. Only problem is you've got to get over the bridge. It's just a little bridge over the washout, just over and sort of where that point of that field is. So he sneaks a shortcut across the field maybe. Corn in there needs cutting. Can't help with that one. So let's tip side grain door. Just try and only put just over 10,000 in that silo, because the silo is a bit difficult to control. From our past experience, we know if we put all of it in, we won't get any credit for it at Mount Vernon, so we want to hold back, given that a couple of 1,000 litres of soybeans are worth a couple of $1,000 each. So we'll let this go down to about 3. Just under. That'll do. Let's run around and deal with the train. We can't just whistle and call it. It takes a little while to pull up, so we'll apply the brakes nice and early, and there we go. What are you doing? So we want to put where are they? Soybeans, 48, 167. That'll have to do. Prepare to be ejected at the border. So that finished the contract, which was exactly what we wanted. Let's have a look at our contracts. So collect you. Let's just go and inspect the road. It's a lot of hassle to take it up there. No, I'm thinking we're just not going to get there. The header's just too wide to run up the road. So by the time we get done, it's going to be starting to get dark. Kevin's very reluctant to take this one on. I think we'll just pack up and head on home. We've helped one neighbour. That'll That'll just have to do on this occasion, I think. Just get round there. And we fold the header. Nope. Let's just back you up. That's it. Get the angle. There we go. So we came out of it with 2,700 litres of excess soy ourselves. Just run over the corner. I think we're blocking the road up there. There we go. So that's our work with harvests done for the year, I think. Seeing the harvest windows closing. It's been a successful season. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. And we'll be back in December to sell off some of our produce. Until next time, stay safe. See ya.